Welcome to this Future-Proof Container Terminals episode. Today we got a really interesting guest, Hendrik de Kruijk, aka Henno, and I will define why interesting, and it's not only due to his experiences on different industries such as the maritime, oil and gas, and these days in retail, but also due to his background on the military. So with that said, Henno, welcome to this episode.
Thank you, Chris. I'm honored to be on your show, and hopefully I can contribute to your series of interviews.
Great, Henno. And before starting the session, the plan today is that we will go through some questions, and I would like to hear your thoughts about them and your feelings. Everything. Just feel free to shoot out.
I will talk frankly. No problem.
Great. So, Henno, I got the chance to work previously with you, and for those who don't know you, it would be great if you can share some words about who is Henno and your background.
Yes. Thank you, Chris. Well, my name is Hendrik de Kruijk. I'm a corporate resilience expert. I work for Proximities Risk Consultancy. That's a company in the Netherlands, and at the moment I'm based in the Middle East. I have experience in a lot of sectors, as you said. I worked in oil and gas, I work in retail, I even worked in education, and also in container terminals. So everything I'm going to say during the interview is not only based on container terminal experience. I try to take the topic a little bit broader and also include general lessons learned from other sectors as well that apply to container terminals just as much as they apply to any other sector.
That's interesting, Henno, and especially we were discussing this about coming from the military and entering the business life. How was your experience? What do you consider where were the main challenges there?
Well, the main challenge for me was if you come from a military environment. First of all, people know a strict hierarchy. It's even on your shoulders. It's on your uniform. Who's the boss? In a corporate environment, that's different, and there's also less focus on that. But the main topic, I think, was that if you come from the military, everybody has a common background, a common education. So you don't need to do a lot of explaining. Everybody follows the drill. As soon as you push the button, people know what to do and they start doing it. That also means that there's not a lot of creativity going on in the way people solve problems because they follow certain procedures. If you look at corporate life, it's the other way around. People are very creative in finding solutions, but they don't have the common background and they don't have the common education, which means that you need to set clear directions and clear goals to guide the whole process. If you don't do that, then all the solutions and the people will go all kinds of directions and you don't get a focused effort. So that was my main experience. You have to look at it from another perspective and not only based on your military background and the military way of working.
Yeah, quite similar to what I experienced in my personal life, and really interesting. So before jumping into the main topic regarding safety and security, I always like to ask this question. And how would you describe container terminal operation in one word?
I would say continuous. I think it's one of those processes that never stops. And if it stops, you have a big problem. Because if it stops on one end, then you have a problem on the other end. So continuous would be my word.
Yeah, interesting word, and especially we got 24/7 operation. You cannot stop, and if it stop, it's the big thing. It. So yeah, regarding I would like to hear about your thoughts. Probably this will sound like a cliche, but why safety and security is important, especially these days that the automation is more and more is a reality that it will come. It's not only in the future. We can see these days that many terminals are adopting this technology. And when I think about automation, my first thought is regarding safety.
Yeah, well, safety and security are important because they empower your operation. Basically, you should look at it from the way that safety and security protect the operation from interruptions. So it guarantees that it can go on continuously. And if you look at why does an operation stop, You talk about automation. I think the IT part, the mechanical part is a big thing. We will not go into that one, I think, because that's a different topic. Maybe we can touch that on business continuity. But if you look at safety and security, it can be stopped by an incident. The operation is stopped when an incident happens, and first you have to attend the incident. And it can also stop because of compliance reasons, because somehow you don't comply with local laws, with corporate regulations, or with some certifications you have. So basically, safety and security empower the operation by guarding that there are no interruptions.
Interesting approach that safety empower operations, and that led me to my next question. So when you hear this safety first, what comes into your mind?
Well, safety first, it's true, but it's also in Dutch we say an open door. So it's a hollow phrase if you don't back it up with actions. And so that's, I think, important. Everybody understands safety first, and they all say it, but backing it up is really important. And I think that's where leadership comes in. Not only leadership from the boardroom, because that's what you hear a lot, the tone at the top and stuff like that. But I think at every level, leadership in safety and security is important. Not only the leadership in the boardroom, yes, that guides the organization, but also the leadership, for instance, if you look at safety and security at middle management level, is very important. If you are able to engage the middle managers, and if they start minding safety and security in their daily operations as well, I think that's when you have a good start to really improve safety and security and incorporate it in your daily operation, because I think that's the most important thing.
That's right, and probably you will hear a lot, and you were on the terminal, you know, how people will say like, hey, due to safety we are losing productivity. Any thoughts around that one?
Well, if you see safety and security as an add-on to the operation, then you can say we are losing productivity, because yes, it takes attention away from moving the container, but it doesn't take attention away of the overall picture. And if you look at container terminals, but also at other types of organizations, they're always organized in silos. So everybody is minding his own part of the process. And if you look at safety and security, if you have a silo that's vertical, then safety and security are the horizontal connections that make the silo stronger. And I think if you look at it that way, then they don't take away effort from the operation, they add to the operation, because they guarantee that the operation doesn't stop because there's an incident, or because you're not compliant, or because there's issues with fatalities, or issues with environmental stuff. We will not go into that one, but I think that's the most important thing. Safety and security connect all the silos and continue that the operation can flow continuously.
Interesting, and I think there is an important element here, and we discussed this one previously quite a lot of times, and it's leadership, and how leadership will be impacting according to the maturity of a terminal, for example. Any thoughts around that one?
Yes, leadership and maturity, I think, are two things that go hand in hand. As I said, leadership is needed on all levels, and especially if you look at safety and security, it's an execution issue. You can put it on paper, it's worth nothing. Only if you actually do it, then it has value. So it's an execution issue, and that's where leadership, not in the boardroom, is needed, but in the execution, so with the middle managers. It's not an easy job, but also leadership is needed from the specialists like I am. A specialist is always keen to talk about his own specialism and forgets sometimes what it's all about. It is not about safety and security alone. It's about the safe and secure operation. And I think that's where you can find the common ground. And that takes leadership and knowledge as well. And it also takes leadership from a single individual, whichever level, to report unsafe or unsecure situations, so you can actually improve them. And also to say, okay, this is so insecure, unsafe, we have to stop now. And I think that takes a lot of leadership, and that's a job not for the boardroom, not only for the middle manager, but for everybody who works in an environment that has safety and security risks.
Yeah, really key point here is the mid manager, because basically he will be transmitting up to the top management, and at the same time he also will be spreading the voice to all the different teams. So he got a really important role here, and that make me think a lot of things, and it's really challenging regarding safety and security, because just as you mentioned, we got different local deviations worldwide, and even though you got some standard, it's quite challenging. And that jumps me to the next question. I am involved in the terminal design, and it's a reality that we should consider safety since day one. And I would like to hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, that's a really good point. First of all, if you look at the best terminal, I think the best terminal isn't the template. It's not, if I have this, if I copy this, which works perfect to another place, another location, then I have the same result. I think the best terminal is a terminal that adapts the best to local situations, so to local regulations. For instance, customs law, if you look at security, or labor law, if you look at safety. I think that's the most important thing you need to look at. So if you take in the design phase the local requirements for safety and security as a requirement for the design, you can already from the beginning start thinking about, okay, how can we adapt? How can we involve this special requirement into an integrated design? And I think that's very important. Second thing what I see about designs is they always focus on the main process. And if you look at a container terminal, it's about the flow of containers. But non-operational processes or non-key processes also have an impact on the operation. For instance, how do people come in and leave the operational area? What processes do I need to do, and what infrastructure do I need to get those processes done? So for instance, for access control, you need space, you need automation, you need people, you have a flow of people, you have to segregate from machine flow. It's a lot of questions you have to ask yourself in the design of in this case, a terminal.
Yeah, really good points over here, that we should not only consider the cargo flow, but also the flow of people, It's a totally different approach to build up the terminal and then figure out the safety and security process. It will be a nightmare.
Yeah. So, well, also, if I can give other example, you also have to look at the how do we receive deliveries? How do we get rid of our garbage? How do we do a crew change on a vessel? What do we do with external staff that comes in to do maintenance? All those questions can have an impact on the design of your infrastructure. And I think if you only think about them, that those categories are also active on a terminal, I think you can shape a design in a way that you can also facilitate those non-cargo processes.
Yeah, good that you mentioned this. I can say non-operational process.
Yeah.
And how would you solve this? So basically, you will include them since the design phase. It can be quite tricky, especially on the design phase. That you got some, you don't have all the inputs yet. It's a reality.
Yeah, you don't have all the inputs yet, so it's important to also ask yourself, what inputs do I not have at the moment? And I think those are the things that should be part of that consideration. So yes, include them in the design. That's the first thing. So if you are designing a process, also include those elements in your design. I think that's an important one. And the second one, I think, which is really important, is look at local regulations first. So if you have to do something special because local regulations state that you have to do it, then adapt those, put those directly in your design. For instance, I'm in the Middle East at the moment. Over here, everybody has the right to go to prayer. That means leaving a place of operation, and it could be 5 times a day. Well, that has impact on your operation, whether you like it or not. So you have to find a smart solution, and you have to do that from the beginning.
Yeah, really interesting, considering all these local deviations. And Henno, how about the monitoring? That's one of the critical, or maybe of the fundamentals regarding the security in any industry.
Yes. I think if you look at monitoring in safety and security, there's a world to win. I think we can learn a lot from event security. In that case, they monitor people, they monitor flows of people. They can even give people an RFID chip to find out where they are exactly. But I think those elements we can take a really good look at and use those in industry solutions as well. I think access control is a really important issue, especially if you look at terminals, but also in retail, for instance. It's for loss control a really important issue, not only the shop, but especially the warehouses. And last but not least, CCTV is a very important thing. And the only thing I can say is, if you buy a system, make sure it connects with the other systems you have. So make sure it's compatible with other systems. And if you choose a system, also budget for upgrades and maintenance of those systems, because it is technology. And what I see a lot is people buy it one time and they think this has to do for 5 years. And in 5 years' time, we will see how we do it. But still, it needs maintenance and it needs upgrading.
Yeah, so it's really nice you mentioned this one, because especially on semi-automated or probably an automated, or it can be also on the conventional terminal, that you got this policy of no man walking. You need to keep in mind how people will access to maintain all these elements, in the yard, especially in operational areas. They will have CCTV systems, control access systems, and all these. And it would
you can use motion detection in those areas. There are all kinds of solutions. And if you choose one, make sure it's implemented well. In my opinion, in security, we like to use people because they're flexible. You can put them somewhere else. You can give them a different instruction, and they start doing their job. If you change people for an automated system, I think it's safer. It's also better. But it's only better if you implement 100%, because the gain is in the last 20%, not in the first 20%. And that's, I think, another lessons learned. If you choose to use automated means to monitor people instead of security guards or safety staff, make sure you implement the automated solution 100% and not 80%.
And Henno, regarding the control access systems, what solutions you can share about?
That's difficult, because that's one of the topics that has a lot of local requirements. You can see biometrics making a big leap. I think that is important. But on the other hand, a lot of countries also state that people need to have an ID card of the company with a photo on them. So you can use that as well. I think if you have both, so you have the ID card and a biometric solution, I think then you are really secured. But if there's a lot of turnover in staff, for instance, use biometrics, don't use badges. I think in general that's what I can say, because if the turnover in staff is high, you have a lot of badges out there that are not handed back. So that's a security risk as well. And it's cheaper to use biometrics because it's programmed, you don't have to print anything. But access control is one of those issues that has a lot of local regulations. For instance, biometrics in one country isn't a problem. But if you go to the EU, for instance, there's a lot of regulation about using biometrics and storing biometric data.
That's great. And entering into the final topic, Henno, this is one of the most, I can say, critical ones, and it's planning versus plan.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things to consider over here. Probably we cannot cover all of them, but I would really like to hear your thoughts regarding this one.
I think it was going back to the military. I think Eisenhower said a plan is nothing, but planning is everything. And if I look back on what I do and what I did, drafting a plan is almost always part of the assignment I have. whether it's a business continuity plan, whether it's a crisis management plan, a disaster recovery plan, a lot of plans, port facility security plan. There are a lot of plans that need to be drafted, and there's a strong focus on getting something on paper. Because of compliance, ISO has a lot of requirements on plans. The law has a lot of requirements on plans, corporate regulation. So everybody is, where is your plan? And then you see that at least what I feel is, okay, let's get something on paper and let's get it done. Yes, maybe that's a good start to get the compliance people out of your hair, but the real power of plans is in the planning process, because a crisis or an event never happens the way you put it on paper. It always happens differently, and the real power is in the fact that the people who are involved have been in the same room, have talked about similar situations, and know the impact an action or an incident has on everybody in the room, not just their own department. So I think planning is more important. Getting the people in the room, get them to talk about a contingency, and then in the end you put something on paper. And what I see now, and what I'm involved in as well, you have it the other way around. First you have something on paper, everybody is happy, and they don't show up for the meeting or the exercise anymore because the plan is already there. And I think this has to do partly, if you look at terminal operations, with the continuous process of a terminal. There's always work, there's always something else going on. So there's no time to sit down and go through contingencies and exercise together how to deal with certain situations.
Yeah, that's great. And well, we were both at the military, and that plan need to match reality. And the key is to create like a muscle memory, like rehearse that plan. And I would like also to ask you regarding the how will be the ideal, planning process? Who will you include since the initial planning stage of this business continuity plan, for example?
That's a big question, because it depends a lot on the type of plan you are making. What I like, first of all, what should the plan look like? I think we should move away from a process flow. If this happens, then you take those steps, and in the end, crisis is resolved and everybody is happy and healthy again. I think plans don't work that way anymore. I think the plan should focus first of all on what should we have available to react. So what do we need to have in our supply room? Or what information do we need? For instance, if there's no computers anymore, we need a list of telephone numbers. Something stupid like that. Or if there's a hurricane coming, we need to have stuff in our supply room so we can secure our terminal and secure our buildings, stuff like that. I think that's the first part of the plan. The second part of the plan is more pointers, what you can think about. So directions of decisions. Okay, if we take this type of decision, we need to think about those things as well. Or if we take this type of decision, we need to think about other issues. I think that's an important plan. Who should you involve? I think you should involve in the planning process the people that actually are impacted by the situation, and the people that are in their normal job responsible for reacting to the solution. So it's not that the crisis manager flies in as a Superman and he solves the issue. The contingency is managed by the people who normally have the job, who are normally in charge as well. It's not someone else. They are in charge. So those people should be involved in planning processes and especially exercises. I think that's something we should emphasize on more. A plan is nothing if you don't put it into practice and try it and try to improve it. I think that's the main key. So look at what type of plan you have and involve the people that are actually responsible for reacting to a contingency.
Awesome, Henno. And as a final word, Henno, you are currently a resilient expert or resiliency expert. Really interesting title, by the way. And we hear a lot about resilience, and what will be your main takeaways to share with our worldwide colleagues that are now working not only on the terminal environment, but also in different industries, that they will need to consider more and more the safety and security aspect, especially with this, technology is evolving more and more. That's reality.
Yeah, that's reality. Well, first of all, overall, that's not only for the safety and security people, but for everybody. Safety and security empower the operation. I think that's the most important takeaway. That also means that they are integrally part of the operation and not just an add-on. So, okay, we have the operation and then we put something on it, and that's safety and security. It is part of the operation. It is core. That's also a message to the safety and security people. Involve yourself in the operation, and don't be the auditor that only audits what's going well and what needs improvement, but audit with the people. Talk to them, engage with them, and work hand in hand and together. Then, if you look at safety and security of the terminal design, I think incorporate safety and security requirements as early as possible into the design of the facility. Don't wait until the end, because it will be more expensive, it will be less functional, and if you involve it from the start, it will look much better as well. So there's also an aesthetic part of it. And that's what I always look at is safety and security, is the infrastructure part of the overall design, or is it added on later? Also involve non-operational processes in your considerations of terminal design. If we look at monitoring, I think we discussed that as well. Use technology for monitoring, but make sure it works 100%. Don't stop at 80, because then you will not have the benefit of the automated solution. It needs to work 100%. But monitoring is an essential part of incident prevention. I can't say that a lot enough. Well, last but not least, if you look at plans and planning, it's the planning that's important. Exercising and planning. The plan, the written paper, is nice. You need to have it to show it, but the real knowledge is in the planning process and in exercising together with all people involved. I think those are the main takeaways.
Excellent, Henno. Really appreciate you got this moment to share your thoughts and experiences together with us, especially in your such busy agenda. And I am really, really excited all about this one. And let's see how our colleagues worldwide react to this. And I am really willing to hear their comments and thoughts about this.
I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for having me on your show.
Great.
I feel honored. If I look at the other guests, then you have a really interesting group of people you are speaking to, and I think this is also the way to move forward, bring knowledge together from different perspectives, and in the end that will result in an improved design and an improved operation. It's a process. It's not a point in time. It's a process. It's not a status.
Great, Henno. I really appreciate this, and hope you can meet us in future sessions.
Hopefully, inshallah.
Yeah. Thanks, Henno.
Okay, thank you.